Chainsaw Summer! This thing is so stupid. Like, what? It's wiggly ass friggin'. So I went to go see Chainsaw Man last night, and surprise! Oh god, surprise! They gave out these headbands that was supposed to put a chainsaw in your forehead, and well, as to be expected, like, it feels like it's not flimsy, but you know, since all of the connectory bits are all made of the same cardboard as the rest of it, your mileage may vary. For the most part, I don't think I had a problem with the headband itself. Picture this for a moment, will you? These were handed out to everyone. They were well, anyone that wanted them anyway. I don't know if they ran out at any point in time for my particular showing, but imagine putting this on your head and then realizing that this, assuming that it's supposed to work, this chainsaw bit is supposed to stick up into the air. And then remember that there may be people behind you trying to read subtitles at the bottom of the screen. Now you may understand at least a part of my experience going to see Chainsaw Man last night. So, about a month ago, I went to a theater and I saw Demon Slayer, because Demon Slayer came out, and it was a grand old time. And at that point, I watched, they had the trailer for Chainsaw Man before, and I kind of like added it to a little list in the back of my mind, being like, here's a couple of things I should probably also go and see, because I am caught up on Chainsaw Man. Not on the manga. I'm about a year behind now on the manga, because, you know, I don't like fully catching up on manga. I'll let it sit for like a year, and then I'll catch up, and then I will let it sit for another year or something. But I'm far past where Chainsaw Man is in this film, for better or for worse. And going to the theater last night was a different experience for a couple of reasons. One, it was a different theater, and two, the time of day was different, which means the experience is very, very different. So when I went to go see Demon Slayer, one, it was an 18 plus showing, which basically means it's not 18 plus in that the content is 18 plus, it's 18 plus in that they are reserving those seats for 18 plus people, so you don't have children that don't know how to behave. That doesn't stop people, because there are plenty of 18 plus persons who do not know how to behave in a theater, but that's beside the point. Secondly, it was a afternoon showing in the middle of the week. So the actual amount of people in that theater was maybe 10, including me. It was a fairly empty theater, and I kind of liked it that way because other people bother me. It was kind of a pluses or minus thing. Chainsaw Man, it was middle of the week, it was Thursday, but it was an evening showing, so the theater wasn't packed, but it was probably close to 2/3 full. The theater that I went to had reserved seating, so according to the reserved seating chart, everyone in the row, all of the seats in the row in front of me were taken, and all of the seats in my row were taken. So by comparison, it was a much more crowded theater. And that has pluses or minuses for those that have gone and done the theater experience over the last handful of years, in so much that I think it's gotten worse. How has it gotten worse? Because people don't know, they either don't know or they don't care about certain parts of theater etiquette. This didn't help with one of them. Thankfully, all of the people that decided that they were going to wear the Chainsaw Man headband for the whole film, and I guess power to you, because those things are uncomfortable as heck. But thankfully for me, the people that decided to do that were several rows below me and not directly in my line of sight. I could just see them out of the corner of my eye, being like, oh my god, I'm very glad I'm not directly behind you. But also, there are just certain things at a theater that I hate. So for example, a group of people came and they sat in a row about 2 rows ahead of me, and the film was supposed to start at a particular time on the hour, and about a minute until that start time, they all just came in, they all went to their seat, and then one of them was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm just gonna go use the washroom. And as soon as he said that, I kind of like gave him a side eye from my seat, several rows up, being like, okay, well, the movie's about to start in 1 minute. We have reserved seating, so you didn't come all the way in and up here in order to reserve your seat or anything like that. Maybe you came in so that you could find it when the lights went out, but if that is what you're planning for, you are doing poor planning, because you should be already in your seat by the time the lights go out. Because you know what's going to happen. You're gonna go, You're gonna go use the washroom, the lights are gonna turn off, the movie's gonna start because we didn't get any previews, which I'm actually thankful for. I'm happy I didn't have to sit through just like 30 or 40 minutes of previews and other random stuff that the theater tosses at me. I'm happy that the lights went out and Chainsaw Man started. That's all I wanted. It was perfect. But then Buddy ends up coming back like 5 or 10 minutes into the movie already. And, you know, because they were in the row seating that was like, oh, center of center. And they had to, like, go past everybody in line. And they're just kind of like, oh, sorry, excuse me, sorry. And because we're watching a Japanese film with English subtitling, when you do that, you're blocking the bottom of the screen. We can't read the subtitles. So that's bad because you were already here. You just decided to not use the washroom until literally the last moment. There are also the people that decided not to show up until 10 or 15 minutes into the film. That was bad. Some of them were cosplayers, and I'm like, I thought you had more dedication than this. And so this is why, like, when I went to go see Demon Slayer, and it was a basically empty theater, I thought I lucked out because I didn't have to deal with people. I didn't get pulled out of the movie or trying to get into the groove of the movie because, you know, people were still shuffling in and not respecting the start time of the film. I don't know if this is just a time management thing, and I am just a lot more sensitive to that than other people. I like to be early for things. If there's a start time, so if like this movie is supposed to start at 7, I'm probably going to be there about 22. Just to make sure that I have gotten to the theater no problem, so that I've used the washroom no problem, so that if I want to go pick up something from the concession stand, I can and there are no issues. And then I'm going to go and sit down and find my seat. I'm going to just double check any emergency messages on my phone before shutting it off. At least the theaters now know to do that very often, not that anybody listens, because of course there was at least 1 or 2 people that had their phone on what felt like full brightness during the middle of the film. I know people are addicted to their phones, but my God. On the other hand, however, there are some plus points to watching a movie in a theater full of people. Not just a theater full of people, but a theater full of fans, which is kind of the nice thing about Chainsaw Man, because you kind of expect for a sequel movie that has a story that takes place after an already existing core of episodes that, you know, the people that are here have probably watched the core, that knows who Denji is, that knows who Power is, though she disappears fairly quickly. We don't need to know about any of the new characters because they're all introduced to all of us. You can tell who does and who does not know who Makima is. It's kind of funny, actually. The people who were sitting next to me, I think were a couple, and my guess is that the guy knew Chainsaw Man and he has read the manga. The girlfriend seemed to know who people were, so she probably watched season 1 but did not know the manga, and their reactions to things were very different. And I'm like, oh, you've read the manga. That's how you know. That is how you know, especially for Chainsaw Man in specific. But like, there are times where funny or amazing things happen, and being in a room full of people either laughing or cheering is great. It's a great experience for those moments. I mean, there's also the awkward experience where we're sitting there in a theater watching anime characters go to like 7 theaters and watch 6 very crappy movies and 1 apparently absolutely amazing movie. Because that's a thing in the film. Makima and Denji go on a date to a bunch of theaters, which, you know, that's a little meta. And surprisingly, everyone in the theater was quiet for that part. I don't know if everybody realized how self-conscious, or I don't know if anybody in the theater would have gotten self-conscious if they were trying to do things or talking or use their phone or what have you during that moment of the film. But that was a little amusing. But then it just becomes the trade-off, see, of does all of the negatives get countered by the wonderful experience of having parts of these movies be like a shared experience with everybody in the room? And sometimes the answer is yes. I think in this particular instance, it was very beneficial, as I mentioned before, how everybody here was a fan. So you didn't go to a Hollywood movie or what have you with somebody who didn't know or care and was mostly there just for like the social aspect of going with their friends, because those type of people are much more likely to pull out their phone in the middle of the film and not pay attention at all. Or fall asleep and snore. I've had that happen in theaters before. So, but the fact that like you're going to Chainsaw Man, you can generally expect everybody there to have seen Chainsaw Man, at least the first season. And that seemed to be the case. I didn't find a problem there. I also mitigate the other problems with dealing with people by not sitting in the optimal spot. So if you go to a theater, I think the common wisdom is that the best seats in the theater is center. So like if there's a big square of seats, you want to be dead set in the middle of it, because apparently that's where they normally tune both the camera screen and also the sound system to that point, so that's the best place, and then it just kind of ripples out from there. And you can see that, like, if you go and look at reserved seating charts for a lot of movies, chances are that's where it's going to fill up, and then it'll go backwards. The alternative to that is what I do, which is I want the top row. I mean, ideally, I would like top middle, but I will take anywhere in the top row. And my reasoning for that is very simple. I don't want people kicking my chair. You may be like, oh, well, I've not had much experience with people kicking my chair. The thing is that you only need to experience people kicking your chair once to realize how much of a terrible idea it is and how much you never want it to happen again. Because your chair getting kicked while you're trying to watch a movie not only pulls you out of the movie, but then kind of sours the next 5 or 10 minutes while you're grumbling over the person who kicked your chair, on purpose or by accident. And I can understand that it can be by accident. So for example, I did accidentally kick the chair in front of me during this showing. Now on the plus side, it was during the first 5 minutes of the showing, and the people who were supposed to occupy that chair hadn't arrived yet. But in readjusting my legs, I accidentally kicked the chair. And I know that because since nobody was sitting in it, it did a little wobbly thing, and I'm like, oh, well, now I know that I need to be super careful in this seat because I don't have a lot of room and can easily kick the chair in front of me. Even more so when they finally did arrive, and it's a recliner chair, sort of, so they leaned all the way back, and I had even less foot room than before. But because I'm trying to be a conscientious watcher of films, I took my time and I made sure that I was able to find positions for my legs to be in that did not hit the chair in front of me. But I don't like getting my chair kicked. So in order to avoid getting my chair kicked, I always sit in the top row. Always, always, always. The only times I don't sit in the top row is either A, I'm too late and I can't, or there are, if I know the theater, there are certain theaters that I've been to where it does not matter because the chairs are spaced out such that it is very difficult to kick the chair in front of you. But going to a new theater like I was doing today, because I've never been to this theater because, you know, trying to go watch an anime movie, you never know what you're going to get here in Canada as far as what theaters will get what. So I've never been to this theater before. Any of the theaters that I've been to before for anime movies are either too far away and I can't justify the drive, or just don't have it. So like the theater I went to for Demon Slayer, it did not have Chainsaw Man. I looked. So all of that to say, I still probably would prefer not dealing with people. Because while there are moments of greatness and parts of the film are emboldened by being in a room full of people, the variables of other people being inconsiderate, I think is probably how I want to say it, or just not caring. I don't think they're being malicious about it. I just think that they judge their own time differently so that they decide, oh, well, my time is extremely valuable, so I'm only going to show up like when the movie starts, only for, you know, life to happen, and they end up being 5 or 10 minutes late and what have you. And it doesn't matter to them and it doesn't impact them and they just don't care. Fine. As far as the movie itself, so I have read the manga going into this, but it wasn't recently. So when I say that I'm about a year behind on Chainsaw Man, that's because about a year or so ago, a little bit more now at this point, because, you know, time, it's hard to keep track of things. I was in a call yesterday and a friend told me, oh, hey, they were talking about Fallout Season 2. And I'm like, when was Fallout Season 1? Oh, it was only like at the start of last year. That feels actually a lot more recent than that, but okay, fine. So I am like probably over a year behind on Chainsaw now, and the last time I caught up on Chainsaw was when I caught up on all of Chainsaw, pretty much. So my memories of this arc are very kind of foggy in that I remember some of the set pieces. I remember the characters because I really liked Reze as a character. I think she was great. I didn't actually have a very high opinion of Beam going into the film because I don't think I warmed up to him by reading the manga. That changed. I love Beam. Beam's our boy now. Beam is great. But I also didn't like want to reread the manga. A part of me thought about rereading the manga going into the film, and then I was like, no, I'm just gonna experience the film because I think I would enjoy the film more. Not remembering all of the details and not doing the constant comparisons in my head. I feel like that was the better way to go. And I agree. I feel like I agree with myself. I do think going in semi-blind, because I knew how it was going to end. I knew all of the major events that were going to happen. I didn't remember the smaller details. And that's fine. And I feel like that was a much more enjoyable experience. The one thing that I was a little worried about going in is because I saw the memes. I saw the memes of the animation for the film, which I'm assuming is taken from the trailer, especially all the ones, the one that I saw was like a picture of Power from the film, and then a picture of Power from season 1, and they put RTX on and off on them to kind of signify that there was a downgrade for the film. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, if you compare them side by side, I believe you have merit in that argument. However, there's also a level of cherry picking. And when you go see this movie, you're not watching it side by side with season 1. You're not going to notice. Was the animations of season 1 better than this film? Probably. I mean, I will say that season 1's biggest animation problem that I have, this movie fixed. I never liked the 3D CG use for actual Chainsaw Man, like not Denji, but in Chainsaw mode. All of the CG used for season 1, I've always hated that. So the fact that it's combination of done differently and done better in the film, I was very happy for. Super happy for. So it kind of balances out. Because most of the other things, yeah, if you do the side-by-side comparison, it is worse in the film. But when I consider the fact that I absolutely hated all the CG use in season 1, and they got a lot better in this one, I'm like, okay, it's fine. The cinematography is a lot different. I now have a much clearer view of what Denji's shoes look like for some reason. We had a lot of shots of his feet in the early half of the film. But not just in Denji's shoes. You can tell that there was a difference in how a lot of things within the story were portrayed. And, you know, that's probably because they swapped directors. And that is a bag of worms I don't know if I want to necessarily open. So my understanding of it, and this is like very brief, I'm not considering myself an expert, and there's a certain amount of it I didn't bother looking into because it goes into the realm of drama that I don't care about. But it sort of matters to a point because, you know, the directors have changed, and that means the entire kind of presentation of the work is going to be slightly different. So the guy that directed season 1 of Chainsaw Man did his directing in a particular style that was very reminiscent of Hollywood films, such that it was kind of working on the influences that the mangaka originally had. And the mangaka themselves is like a very big film buff. So like you watch the opening for Chainsaw Man and they're like references galore to Hollywood films. That's the thing. It's all there. I mean, even the fact in this film, they go to a movie theater and watch both good and bad films. It's like, no, the mangaka for Chainsaw Man loves films. And so I really feel like the original director was capitalizing on that and using that to great effect, I thought. But I also know that Japanese fans specifically really hated that. They did not like that at all. I think a lot of them wanted a more traditional shonen adaptation out of the first season of Chainsaw Man, which is not what we got, which personally is one of the reasons why I like it. I didn't want Chainsaw Man to just be another Demon Slayer, to just be another Bleach, to be another Naruto, One Piece, My Hero Academia. I didn't want it to be like any of that. Yes, it's a shonen, but just because it's a shonen doesn't mean that it should be directed the same way. And they got a lot of flack for that, which eventually led to them, I don't know if firing is the right word. They've left MAPPA and they've gone and done their own animation studio now, and they're not involved with Chainsaw Man anymore. And I think that is a massive shame. I'm sure that a lot of especially his criticizers will point at their actions, their petitions, their anger to have resulted in him not working on Chainsaw Man anymore. And they're probably not wrong. I'm just really sad about that because I really did enjoy the direction of Chainsaw Man. And then it's kind of really hard now to say then how much different this film was for that, mostly because it is a film. So the direction of a film and the direction of a TV show are generally quite different. So I can't really directly, I don't think it's fair, rather, to directly compare them, because you're asking me to then compare somebody who directed a 13 episode anime series and then a guy who directed a movie. They're very different. They have to be very different. The medium is different. And honestly, a part of me is just really sad that we don't got the director who very heavily was trying to take influence from Hollywood films doing the Chainsaw Man film. Because I'm curious as to what that would have changed. How different this film would have been if it was still directed by the same guy. There is a difference there. But while you're in the theater, while you're in the seat, while you're watching the movie, you don't really notice any of that. And I feel like that's kind of the goal. Could it have been, you're not thinking about the what ifs. Like, could it have been better? Yes. It could also have been worse. We don't know. That's kind of the thing. Like, you think about that animation meme about the RTX on and off, but you don't really notice it because there's not a direct comparison in the theater. They're not going to pull up a shot of season 1 to remind you, hey, this is what it looked like in season 1. This is what it looks like now. What do you think? They're not going to do that. It is weird, though, that we're even having this discussion. I think I mentioned this during the Demon Slayer video, but like, the normal expectation is that an anime film is going to look better than the TV series. Not just because of like how budgets work, but like just because of how the production pipeline is different and how there is a higher expectation for something that's going to be at theaters or roadshows. So normally there is at least a slightly better upgrade to quality. So the fact that there's such memes about it being a downgrade is hilarious to me. I mean, it is still, I would say it is on par with what you would expect from a shonen film. The only comparison that's popping in my head is because I went and saw Demon Slayer recently. And I feel like Demon Slayer had some compositing issues, which I talked about before when it came to its CG. But I mean, Demon Slayer was fantastic and it looked fantastic. But it was also a very different film from Chainsaw Man. It was mostly action and then a whole bunch of backstory in the middle of it that just felt like an anime season. Nothing here felt like an anime season. All of it felt like the film that it was part of. I think that it was paced and presented very well. I'm also very happy that it was the start and end of an arc. Like, if we're going to put both of these films head to head, all of my money is going to Chainsaw Man, and I think that was just a much better experience, but also I have the personal bias of I like having endings in films. I don't like going to a film that doesn't end and will leave you for like a part 2, come back later or something, because it's like if I'm spending the time to go out and see this and dealing with the people, then I would like to have a finished story at the end of it. So obviously Chainsaw Man is going to win from my metrics on that point, because yes, of course it will. It is a start of an arc and it ends the arc, and it is a nice self-contained thing, and I love it for that. But yeah, I think some of the animation in season 1 was better. But that could also be nostalgia glasses. A part of me now that I'm sitting here, like I'm going to try and get this video up pretty soon, but now as I'm sitting here, a part of me wants to go and rewatch parts of season 1 now. I should have done that before going and seeing the film. Even if I didn't go and reread the manga, I should have went and rewatched all of season 1 of Chainsaw Man, but I didn't have time. So I was desperately trying to get other things done so that I could somehow figure out how I'm going to go and see Chainsaw Man. And then I went and I saw Chainsaw Man. And as far as like, was it worth the experience? I mean, the film is worth seeing. Do you have the same hangups that I do about going to a theater? Well, that's up to you. I would say to watch this film, I would say that the film is worth watching. I would rather, as I mentioned, watch this film again over Demon Slayer. But then again, Demon Slayer, that'll be different when the other half of Demon Slayer comes out, or the other 2 parts of Demon Slayer. I think that was supposed to be a trilogy of films for that arc. Which means I'm probably not going to go see part 2. What I might do is I might wait until inevitably either some theater or some fan group is going to be like, hey, we're going to go and we're going to put on a marathon of all 3, and maybe that experience in the theater will be worthwhile. But going and seeing Chainsaw Man was worth it, even if it was for the stupid hat that I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I'm probably going to recycle it. It's not like it's going to be worth anything. Do these things get more valuable? I very much doubt it. You'd need like a very hardcore fan, a hardcore Chainsaw Man fan to even care about it. But like, what do you do with it when you're done with it? Like, I had it, I didn't wear it, I didn't even put it together until I got home. Because the entire time, the only reason I kept it was for the bit. The only reason I kept it was because I'm like, oh, this might make a somewhat useful prop for the start of this video. Don't know if it succeeded, but you know, I was already deep in at that point, so whatever. And why don't you just talk about the movie itself, Tristan? Well, I don't want to, because it's so fucking good. The movie was great, man. It was a good film. And I know I could assume that everybody who clicked on this are people who also went to go see it, in which case, don't you want that painting? And you might be like, they didn't look at a painting. At any point, there is no painting in this film. And I'm like, but you know, there is a moment that's basically a Renaissance painting that looks fantastic, involving chains and the use of chains for the first time. I want that as like a printout. I want that on canvas to put on a wall. I don't know where I would display it that would not have like questions. Family comes by and he's just like, what's with this guy on a shark? Don't question it. It's great. But there are moments like that. Reze as a character, I love Reze so much. The ending kills me. And again, like, the reactions from people for the end of the film. You can tell who's read the manga and who hasn't. Because if you read the manga, God, I almost wish that that wasn't a thing. There is a twist later in the manga that everybody who's, if you're really deep into Chainsaw Man, you know by this point. You have to know by this point. We're too far gone in the manga to not know about the twist. But just in case you haven't seen it, there's a twist that changes literally everything. I mean, even the main cast of Chainsaw Man changes into essentially a part 2. I don't know if it's considered a part 2 or part 3 by the manga readers. I've never got enough into the fandom to care. But like the end of this film would have had a very different reaction, I think, if nobody knew what happened next. I feel like certain things, and there would be certain interpretations of the ending that would just be like, huh, I guess this is what's happening. That just don't exist because anyone who's read the manga goes, oh, no. That's not what's happening here because this is what's happening because this character's a dick. More than that, but you know, I'll save that for what I hope to be season 2 of the anime. I hope this means that they're gonna be doing Chainsaw Man season 2 pretty soon. I don't know if they will. I'll be very sad if they don't do it reasonably soon because we're getting to that point in the manga. I can't remember how much is between this arc and essentially the end of part 1, or the end of the public service arc. I want another adaptation. I want not another adaptation. I want a continuing adaptation. I want a continuing season. I want to spend more time in the world of Chainsaw Man. I want to get to the other half of Chainsaw Man in an animated medium. I would very much like to see a lot of characters from the latter half of Chainsaw Man animated. And just that world, that section of the world. Like, I've known about and have seen those parts for several years now. I was part of a tabletop game at Anime North, like 3.5 years ago now? Or was it 2.5 years ago? A number of years ago that takes place far after this film. And I knew all about it back then. So, I want all of that to be adapted. Will they do it? I don't know. Mappa's got a stupid amount of stuff on their plate, and that might limit them heavily. I hope it doesn't, but you never know. And that's what it really comes down to. Hey, if you haven't watched Chainsaw Man, you should go and do that. Especially because there's still some time. Unlike some of the other anime films they go through, Chainsaw Man has a reasonably decent theatrical release. So at least at the theater that I went to, they're still showing Chainsaw Man for another week. So that's cool. And I'm glad that that is a thing now, that we're actually getting anime films for reasonable lengths of time. I just wish it wasn't so scattershot as to which theaters around me had them. And then I want Mappa to make more Chainsaw Man. I want more power. I want more power. She had a bit at the start. She had lovely stuff at the start, and then she showed up at the end, which, by the way, there's an after credit scene with power that is amazing, and I laugh at the like quarter of the audience that left as soon as the credits rolled, because I was just like, now I normally stay until the end of the credits anyway. That's just a normal thing for me. That has always been a normal thing for me. Like even before Marvel started doing their post after credits, there's always something after the credits, that sort of thing. I always stayed anyway because I'm like, look, somebody made these credits and the music's usually pretty good. And so I just don't want to be part of the hustle and bustle of everybody like jostling to leave, and I'll wait. The only times I won't wait is if I'm literally the last one there and I can see like one of the theater staff members patiently waiting for me to leave so that they can begin cleanup. I'll leave early then, if I can clearly see that they're waiting to clear up the theater because there's probably going to be another showing pretty soon. I'm not gonna hold them up. I'm not that much of a dick, nor do I want to see the end of the credits that badly. But in this case, yeah, no, like a good third of the theater left at the start of the credits, and so that there was an after credits scene with Power in it, and Power is great, and I want more Power, and I'm looking forward to another season of Chainsaw Man in like 2027 or however long we have to wait. But I enjoyed myself. I'm very happy I went, even if it was a pain in the ass to do so, and I had to deal with people, and I got a hat that is probably going to go in the garbage now, or the recycling, technically. Once I figure out, unless I want to hang it up somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'll figure it out. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go watch Chainsaw Man. And until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.